Hey everyone, welcome back to Little Shop of Nerds. I'm Mike.
I'm Julia.
What's today's hint, Jules?
So today's hint is Cat Bus.
Yes, today we're going to talk about my favorite film,
It's one of mine too.
and a better film than last week's video we did.
I mean, I kind of like last week's video, but that's just me.
Anyways, we're going to be talking about a Studio Ghibli film called My Neighbor Totoro.
Yes, this is actually from 1988. So this movie is younger than I am by 2 years. If that tells you anything.
So you're old.
Shut up, Mike. I don't look like a 50-year-old man.
Yeah, at least I don't look like a 50-year-old woman.
We all know I don't.
You're
the only one that says I do.
Yeah.
Everybody else says I look younger than what I actually am. Anyways, yeah, so Noelle is here to visit again. Look at her, isn't she so precious? Chewie's back here behind me. You can kind of see him. So he's being a good boy. So, I hate May. May is annoying, and she looks like a frog.
That's they say she looks like a crab.
No, I think she looks like a frog.
Well,
She kind of reminds me of one of the characters from Spirited Away.
you mean one of those they look like dudes, they work in the bathhouse, but they have face as frogs?
Not quite like that. More like maybe like Yubaba or or in there's another we did another Studio Ghibli movie, The Secret Life of Arietti. She kind of looks like that old woman that was trying to find the borrowers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she kind of looks like her, but she's like 4, and she's 4 years old, but I always found her like super annoying. So let's get into it. So it starts off with like a little number, like a little opening song. And then it shows May and Satsuki, which basically May and Satsuki are kind of like the main characters of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows them in the back of this truck, and they're moving into a new place with their father. And sorry, Mike, didn't mean to hit you there. And they're going to their new place out in the country, and I think it's closer to the hospital where their mother is staying because their mother is sick. And they move into this house, and then they learn about soot sprites. So this is like one of the first instances of soot sprites that we see in the Studio Ghibli series.
Yes, and well, actually, the first time I saw the soot sprites, because my first Studio Ghibli film I ever saw was Spirited Away.
I mean, I think that was a lot of people's, but what I'm saying is, like, this is the first time that they're mentioned within a Studio Ghibli movie. Because this movie did come out in 1988.
Yep. And, yeah, and they're moving in. The kids are acting like kids pretty much, and
being annoying as fuck.
This is why I don't want kids.
Yeah.
And they see the soot sprites. They chase them pretty much.
May kills one.
Yep. And what is it? The old lady Granny comes.
Yeah, so there's like this little old lady. Her name, they call her Granny, because she's like the grandmother, and she of like the little town that they're living in. And they are, I don't know what year this movie takes place. All I know is that it came out in 88, but it did show like they had like regular, like they had like, it looked like electric poles. There was a telephone, an old telephone. Like we're talking like old. This, like the one that had like the little handle on the side, and you had to like put it up to your ear, and you talked into like this little apparatus on the front. Like
it could have been the 50s.
It could have been, yeah.
It's just maybe they just had an old phone and they just didn't change it.
Yeah, because there was also a trolley.
Because I do know in the 50s they did use the operator ladies, where they just hook wires till you
Mhm.
get hold of a certain person.
And then they also had like trolleys, and they had buses, vehicles, stuff like that. So, if Mike was to continue talking about, where we left off, I can look it up real quick to see when.
What were the sprites?
Yeah, May killed one of the soot sprites, and Granny shows up. Granny was taking care of the house. She was in the process of cleaning it, and she didn't get it fully, cleaned by the time that they arrived. So then her and the two girls were cleaning the house as their father, and the guy that brought them there, they were moving their stuff.
Yes, okay. They were bringing in the stuff, everything. One of the kids is actually the grandson, brings cake. And Granny talks about the soot sprites. They're just spirits and everything. And they're kind of deciding if they should stay or not because because it's kind of like you see a little scene of them talking and trying to decide to stay. And after a while, it's nighttime, big windstorm. Everyone's chilling in a bath, and it's one of those baths that every family member has to share in Japan.
Okay, so you weren't too far off. It says My Neighbor Totoro takes place in 1958 Japan. My Neighbor Totoro was originally intended to be set in 1955, but the production team used calendars from 1958 and 1959. The film is set in the 1950s when the Kusakabe family moves into an old house near a camphor tree. So it does take place in the 50s. Yes. 1958 to be exact. So, so I understand that they're little and that they don't really understand what's going on, but I always thought that it was kind of weird that they took a bath with their dad.
It's always weird to me.
It is common though for children to take baths with their parents.
I get it, like say if there were three, like.
Well, I mean, May is 4.
Yeah, so that's different. But the oldest
Satsuki had to have been at least 8.
8 or 9, so it's cutoff time.
Yeah. So, anyways, they're all getting scared. Their dad's like, hey, if you laugh, you won't be scared anymore. They all just start, playing around in the tub, and then they go to sleep.
And you see a little scene that the soot sprites are leaving. They're like, it's getting too loud in this house. They're like, bye, Felicia.
Yeah. So the soot sprites leave, and then the next day they go to the hospital because they didn't have school because it was rice planting season or rice planting day. So they didn't have to go to school because they were, the people in the town were busy planting rice.
Is that a real thing in Japan?
It might be.
Yeah, who knows?
I can look that up. You keep going. They're going to the hospital.
They're going to the hospital, and their mom's glad to see him. We don't know why she's in the hospital. They just say she's sick. Wish they would told us what the heck was going on, but why not? But yes, they're talking about how they said they might have saw a soot sprite and how they love the house, but it's scary. May's acting like a little kid who's annoying, saying I'm not scared, and it goes on and on.
Okay, so it says here, yes, there are rice planting festivals in Nepal and Japan. These festivals celebrate the beginning of the rice planting season and include planting rice, singing, dancing, and eating. There's an Atau rice planting festival. This festival is held on June 14th at Sumiyoshi Taisha Shrine in Osaka. And the festival includes rituals, dancing, song, a procession of people dressed in samurai garb, and a purification ritual to bless the seeds. There's also here, this says, Rice Planting Day, also known as National Paddy Day, and National Rice Day, has been celebrated in Nepal since 2005. It occurs on the 15th of Nepali month Asar. So, yeah, it looks like it is a thing in Nepal and Japan. In Japan, it usually takes place from around the end of April to late June, depending on the region. Okay, so I'm going to say that this probably takes place about April because it doesn't seem like it's too hot yet. Maybe the end of April, maybe the beginning of May. They did seem to be quite. They didn't seem to be cold, but they didn't seem to be really warm either. But so they went to the hospital visit.
Yeah,
they come back.
And they go back home, and
they're worried because mom isn't home. Mom's still in the hospital.
Yes, and
they're just waiting for her to feel better so she could come home.
And they talked about that maybe a few days or so she's going to come home for a bit until she goes back to the hospital again. And they're with Granny just talking. And
yeah, so so then we see Satsuki getting ready to go to school. Satsuki made a bento box for her dad, and May. And May had to stay at home with her father while she went to school. May starts kind of like exploring a little bit. And she ends up in like this grove, and then she meets Totoro.
A big... You know how Snorlax looks? A little thinner, a little taller, and has more...
He looks fluffy.
Fluffy as fuck, but also has a snout of a cat and ears as a rabbit?
Yeah, I think that when Totoro was like
they say that he's like a troll.
Roaring. Yeah, they called him a troll. When he was roaring at May, I think he was trying to scare her off. But then when he realized that he wasn't going to scare her off, he's just like, oh, okay. And but she does tell like her dad and Satsuki about it because she falls asleep on Totoro's. Because Totoro was sleeping, she falls asleep on his stomach. They find her passed out in the grove. And she was like, oh no, I met Totoro. And she kept trying to show them where she met Totoro, but she couldn't find him again because they don't want to be seen. So then her dad's like, oh yeah. So her dad's like completely like all for it. And he takes them to the shrine. They pray at the shrine. They're at the tree, I think, where Totoro lives, the camphor tree. And she was like, there was a hole here for me to get to him, but now it's not there. And she, they pray and then they go back. And then the next scene, I do believe they had to leave May with Granny because their father is also a university professor. So he was teaching at university that day. Satsuki had to go to school, so they left her with Granny. May's being a brat, didn't want to stay with Granny, ended up going to school. And the teacher allowed her to stay with the class.
Yeah, and I never understood. Like, when she came, everyone went to the... saying, she has a sister. I'm like...
Well, they probably didn't know that she had a sister.
Yeah, but come on. There would be a 50-50 chance that she would, but it's like, it's a big deal to them, and I'm like...
Or maybe they knew that she had a sister, but they didn't know what she looked like.
But still, it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. It's like, all right, we all have brothers and sisters. Sit back down. I
have 5 brothers and sisters.
I just have one sister, and that's enough. But like I say, if I was like the teacher in the classroom, I'd be like, all right, sit down. We all have brothers and sisters. Come on. I think I taught a couple of them.
Yeah, so she's sitting there and she's drawing, to keep herself occupied. And she draws Totoro, and she's telling people about Totoro, and Sasuke's like, shut up, May. And they're walking home, and it starts to rain. Well, they didn't have their umbrellas.
And the kid,
Kanta
gave them the umbrella. They walk back home, and they go take an umbrella to their dad at the bus stop. Before they go back there, they drop their umbrella off to Kanta because the mom keeps thinking...
He said that he forgot it at school.
And yet the mom keeps thinking he broke it or something. And
he did break it. Did you see it?
Yeah, it was broken. And
I think Kanta has a crush on Satsuki.
yeah. And gives them the umbrella back to her, and the mom said the same thing, has a crush on you, and they head to the bus stop, and May was getting tired, so she falls asleep on her sister's back, and you know who comes along?
Totoro.
Totoro.
And all he has is just this little leaf on top of his head. It's not doing much to protect it. So this is where the iconic picture. So if you are familiar with My Neighbor Totoro, this is where the iconic picture comes from, where you see him standing at a bus stop and you see Satsuki standing next to him with a pink umbrella and she's holding May on her back. That's the scene that picture comes from.
Yeah. And she gives the umbrella to him. He likes it, makes a little banging noise. The water falls from the trees. And
Then he disappears.
Disappears.
Gets in a cat bus and disappears. And then, like a couple seconds later, here comes their dad's bus. And he was like, "Hey, our my train got delayed, so I had to take the last bus." But he was home then, and they were able to go home. So, let's see, where are we now?
They're harvesting vegetables. Oh no, wait. Before that, they get Totoro gives them a surprise, like a little gift.
Oh yeah, when he gets in the cat bus, he gives him like this little thing of
Acorns,
and they plant the acorns, and where her mother would be planting a garden, and May has been waiting for them to sprout, like ever since they planted it, and they weren't sprouting.
And this is during the hot season, which means mosquitoes and no air conditioning, so they have to open the doors when they have to sleep under mosquito nets.
Yeah.
And during the sleep, you see Totoro comes with the other little one, the medium-sized one and the smaller one, and the kids go out there, play around with them.
Yeah, they do like some sort of ritual around the seeds, and then the tree grows, but it's not really growing. It's just, I think, what it would look like. But they did do like some sort of ritual to get it to sprout. So then the next morning, they were disappointed to see that the tree did not grow, but they did find out that it had been sprouting. So they were happy about that.
And the next scene, you see the kids harvesting vegetables with Granny, and they're talking about how their mom's going to come, and she gets a telegram saying that her mom's in the.
Well, they needed to contact the hospital right away because it sounded like it was an emergency.
And the Granny's like, it's okay, she might just have a cold, and I get it, as a kid you're scared, so
well, they didn't find out that she had a cold at that time because what Granny told her, she's like, can't contact. Take her to your uncle's house and let her use the phone. So then she called her dad. Her dad called the hospital. Her dad called back. May was supposed to stay with Granny and didn't. This is where she annoys me. She did not stay with Granny. She's carrying around this big giant ear of corn because she wants to give it to her mom to help her mom feel better. And she trips and falls after Satsuki told her to go back to Granny, mind you. And she gets lost, but then she rejoins. She finds out that their mom's not coming back because she has a cold. And May's like, it's not fair. Like, okay, granted, I know she's 4, but she is a very annoying 4-year-old.
Either way, that she runs away.
They get no, because they get into a fight. Her and May do, or Satsuki and May. They get into a fight. She sees Satsuki crying on Granny's shoulder because Granny's like, she'll come back. And then she's like, no, because like, what if it's worse than a cold? What if she dies, and stuff like that. She's crying. Then May runs away because she wants to go to the hospital to give her mom the ear of corn.
Right. Okay. Yes.
She gets lost.
She gets lost. Everyone's fighting her. They thought she might have drowned in one of their lakes, but turns out it wasn't because they found the shoe. Turns out it wasn't. Then, after a while, she finds May.
Well, because Totoro helped her.
Yes.
She got to ride in the cat bus.
And they go to the hospital.
Yeah, the cat bus took him to the hospital.
Drop off the corn. The mom sees the corn in the windowsill. And they go back home and they cue the most catchy theme song.
So they find out that they were just delaying her visit for a weekend, like, because she was supposed to come by that weekend, but they're like, no, she'll be next weekend because she has a cold right now. Yeah. So it wasn't very serious. It was just a cold. And then you see, like, the ending theme with the Totoro. Yeah, it's a very catchy very catchy song. And they, you see, like, little artwork of them
going out day by day.
Yeah, so you see, like, their clothes change because now it's cooler. You see her mom showing up. I'm going to assume her mom was probably released at that point.
Yeah.
And, just, until the end. And just, it's a good movie for it being from 1988.
I give it a 10 out of 10.
Definitely give it a 10 out of 10 too.
It's on Max, so go look it up and you're good.
With all the other Studio Ghibli movies that are there.
Which I think it's kind of funny, It's like, it's like they put all the Studio Ghibli films.
Except for one.
Yeah.
Grave of the Fireflies.
Is that a Studio Ghibli film?
It's a Studio Ghibli film, yes.
Maybe it's because of a certain license issue.
Oh,
But still, they put it all on Max, right?
Yeah.
But Max is owned by Warner Brothers, so.
And it's weird because
Studio
Ghibli is owned by Disney, or at least it's dubbed by Disney.
So you would think.
I mean, they did take. Harry Potter was owned by Warner Brothers, and they took Harry Potter off of Max.
Yeah,
but I think now it's back.
It's back, but and I understood that. I'm like, it's like how you go to Universal Studios and they got the Harry Potter stuff, and I'm like, they didn't make Harry. Why the? I don't care, but still, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I thought this was a Studio Ghibli movie. Maybe it's not. Mm-hmm. Grave of the Fireflies. It is on Netflix from what it says.
Maybe we have to do a video on it.
It has an 8.5 out of 10 on IMDb, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I thought that this was Studio Ghibli. Maybe I was just wrong. Oh, yeah, I was right. An achingly sad anti-war film, Grave of the Fireflies is one of Studio Ghibli's most profoundly beautiful haunting works. So we may have to do a video on Grave of the Fireflies, because I've never seen it. That is one of the Studio Ghibli... Well, there's a lot of the Studio Ghibli movies that I have not seen. I refuse to watch that Mary in the Earwig or whatever
the
fuck it's called.
I did. Not worth it.
I refuse to watch that.
And the computer generation... The computer animation was terrible. They should have just stuck to the original drawing.
Yeah. So, Grave of the Fireflies is one of the few that I have not seen yet, along with Porco Rosso. And then there's few others.
I like Porco Rosso. He's good.
We will have to do a video on all of them except for that Mary in the Earwig or whatever the fuck it's called. We're not doing a video on that because fuck that. Computer generation, computer animation, like that looks like shit. I said it. Come at me. So we're not watching that. But we will eventually watch all of them and do videos on all of them, including Grave of the Fireflies. I've been wanting to see that one because I heard it's sad. But anyways,
next week's
hint is aquariums make me super horny. So, if you know what that's from, leave it in the comments below, because I love that line so much from that movie. So we are actually, I think that's going to be our first video of February. So we will be getting into our Valentine's Day movies, which will be all, romance movies for all of February. So, we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.